And just from that right there, you already know what my speech will be about. And that is the pop culture famous Star Wars. I can't think of anything more recognizable from one little, flick of a switch, and that would be a lightsaber. For my visual stimulus, that's also what it is. And that is a lightsaber. And here it is. Of course, this is a weapon used by the Jedi in the series Star Wars, which is the protagonist. And everyone kind of knows this spiel long ago in a galaxy far away. And I think every little boy memorized that growing up, and now, especially today, Star Wars has become more inclusive to both genders and to everyone, while also maintaining its legacy over time. My father grew up with Star Wars, with the first ever Star Wars: A New Hope, then Empire Strikes Back, and the Return of the Jedi was his generation. And then for my generation, I got the prequel series, which came under quite a bit of scrutiny because of one Jar Jar Binks, but which was started with Phantom Menace, and then Attack of the Clones, and then Revenge of the Sith. And now my son, who was born last year, has his own new series of Star Wars, which is going to be The Force Awakens, and then The Last Jedi. And this final one we're waiting on in December is The Rise of Skywalker. I like Star Wars because to me it really is an example of hope, which is the bottom line. That no matter what, against all odds, hope will always be there. Hope will always stand when all else fails. And of course, Star Wars, the famous antagonist, truly wins, and has a successful kind of Nazi regime type of campaign. The Empire reigns for about 20 years. And from the ashes of the heroes and whatnot, new heroes were born, and against all the odds, they were able to defeat this empire who outweighed them in population, financial, anything. And I think for little boys everywhere, and like I keep saying little boys, but I think for children everywhere, that's something that really, aspires you. This oppressive force was able to be taken down with just hope alone, to continue fighting, to keep on going, no matter what, at all costs. So. Like I said, I think for me, the reason why I wanted to use a lightsaber is I think, it doesn't matter where you're from, whether you're from Uganda, Africa, or Spain, doesn't really matter. You're going to recognize this little guy right here, the lightsaber, just simply because of how iconic it is. And I mean, when you think of the most iconic villain of all time in cinematic history, really in pop culture history, outside of true history, which would be, of course, Hitler. But other than that, you think Darth Vader. And which is kind of a peculiar villain because so many actually like Darth Vader. Like I have a Darth Vader helmet sitting just a few feet away from me. And people aspire that because of that resemblance of power and that he holds, and that dark, literally he is the emblem of evil. He is dressed in all black and no light to him. And there's no one more iconic than Darth Vader. And so I'm very thrilled to be using Star Wars as my speech topic. I got this lightsaber at a little place called Disney World, you might have heard of, in Orlando, Florida, which is about, give or take, about 3 hours away from me. I live in Tallahassee, Florida. And I went to the brand new Galaxy's Edge, where it's actually a section of Hollywood Studios and Disney World that is dedicated to Star Wars. It just opened up, and you pick out your lightsaber amongst the glass, and they have a bunch of other hero lightsabers. This particular lightsaber is Anakin Skywalker's. You can tell from the heavy grips on here. So this is where they use to hold it. This is where this clip right here they be using to clip onto their belts as they, they'll have ignited. And then the top part, this little doohickey right here, this is what really everyone associates with Anakin's blade. This is the more serious collector's lightsaber, not someone you pick up at Target or Walmart for about $10. This one runs about $125 to $135. It's real metal and whatnot. So a lightsaber is powered by what's called a Kyber crystal, which a Jedi actually has to go into the cave and he has to look for himself, and it's only going to make itself appear to that Jedi and no one else. And then from that, they'll actually use the Force to construct the lightsaber made specifically for them. And like only work essentially for them in that way. And of course, they use this to essentially fight evil, to combat anything that oppresses those around them and whatnot. And so for me, this is a huge part of my childhood. I mean, this is how you beat the monsters under your bed. This is how you conquer anything that makes you nervous. And heck, there's sometimes in my job as a law enforcement officer that I kind of wish I had this on my belt, because it is such a piece, a symbol of my inspiration, and courage. So I think that we all feel. So Star Wars is truly an iconic series, and I'm so excited that Disney keeps on rebooting it with a new saga to come out. Now they got a very successful Mandalorian show going on, that more and more generations, like my son and hopefully his child, can enjoy Star Wars and keep pleasing those in the future, and teaching people the way of the Force. So my name is Jake Allen, and thank you for watching this presentation.